friends, and welcome back to another video from Homemaker. I hope you all are having a wonderful day today. In our today's video, we are going to talk about Peperomia Albovittata Piccolo Banda. Now, Peperomia Piccolo Banda is a semi-succulent, popular house plant which is a native to tropical rainforest of South America. Now, the term Albovittata that comes in the name of this plant, it actually means the silvery bands or stripes that you can see on the leaves of this plant. All these stripes that you can see on the leaves of these plants. So Albovittata means the stripes. This plant is also known as the peacock plant, and that is because of the beautiful color of the leaves. As you can see, the mix of green and that dark purplish tinge in the middle, the veins of the plant. Look how beautiful the leaves are. The veins are dark colored in the middle with some bright green, some dull green as they grow bigger. So that is why this plant is called a peacock plant as well. Now, Peperomia Piccolo Banda is known for its attractive foliage, as you can see. The leaves and stem are really thick and they're fleshy. And that is because Piccolo Bandas, the Peperomia species especially, they are semi-succulent, so they store a lot of water in the leaves and in their stems. So that's why they are very thick. These plants, they are slow growing plants and they spread like a small bush. They don't grow very tall, they don't grow very big, but you will see that they grow bushy when they grow, and they'll cover the whole of your plant all around. So they tend to grow bushy, which gives them even a more beautiful appearance, more beautiful look. They're really low maintenance plants. Now we'll talk about their care and the requirements that they need to take care of them. We'll start with the lighting conditions. So all the Peperomia species, they need bright indirect sunlight. They can do really well indoor as well, in the indoor fluorescent light, indoor fluorescent bulb, and that is the reason they are a great choice when you are keeping them in your offices inside where there is not much of the bright indirect light coming. So these plants are perfectly suitable for indoor spaces that don't receive a lot of bright light. But otherwise, providing them with bright indirect light will help in their growth and the healthy leaves and the healthy plant. Do not expose these plants to direct sunlight, because direct sunlight can cause the burns on the beautiful leaves of this plant, and they can, in some cases, we've also seen that the leaves of the plant, the beautiful leaves and the variegations, they get faded away if they receive a lot of bright sun. So the direct sun, I mean. So just give them the filtered light indoor, and that's sufficient for them. Now we'll move on to the soil conditions. So soil, they need a very rich, well-drained soil. So basically you can use a peat-based soil with a lot of peat, cocoa peat, or you can use cocoa coir in it with perlite in the ratio of 2:1, because these plants, they need a little bit of an acidic to neutral soil condition. So peat moss or the cocoa peat will be able to provide that acidic condition, acidic nature to the soil, and they grow really well in that one. And perlite will help in draining the excess of the water so that the roots do not sit in the soggy soil or the soggy mixture. So 2:1 ratio of the soil mix is just the right mix for these types of plants. Now, when we are talking about overwatering and water, I would like to tell you that these plants, as I said earlier, they are semi-succulents and they store a lot of water in their leaves and their stems, and they're also drought tolerant, so they don't need too much of watering, too regular or frequent watering. But what you need to do is just keep an eye on the soil of your plant. If you feel when you touch the soil and you feel that there is a lot of moisture in it, the soil is still moist, you can leave your plant for another couple of days, and also the soil will stick to your fingers, so you can feel that it's really moist, so you can leave the plant for some more days. And when you feel that the soil is really dry, then you water it. Usually during spring and summer you might need to water it once in a week, depending upon how hot your environment is, and during winters maybe once in 2 weeks, or maybe even less than that, depending upon how cold or how humid the weather conditions are at your place. It also depends upon the size of the pot. If your pot size is really bigger, then you might still need to wait for a little bit more time, because bigger pot has got more soil and it can absorb more water in them. So you might need to wait a little bit more longer till the soil gets dried up to 1 knuckle size or 2 knuckle size. And then you water your plant. As I said, they are drought tolerant. They'll do really well even if you forget watering for a week or so. So this was about watering. Regarding fertilizing, so you might need to fertilize your plant with a balanced fertilizer once in a month during the growing season, which is the spring and the summer season. But you can leave the fertilizing during the fall and winters, because at that time they're not actually growing that much, so you don't need to fertilize. There's not much activity going on, so if you fertilize during that time, you're just going to overwhelm the soil and the plant. So no need to fertilize during the fall and the winter, just the spring and summer. Next is the temperature conditions. So piccolo bandas, they prefer warm temperature, and they are not frost tolerant. So if you keep them in a temperature which is lower than 10 degrees Celsius, they're not going to do well. The ideal temperature for them ranges between 10 to 24 degrees Celsius. So just try to maintain that warm temperature for them, and not very cold. Also keep them away from cold drafts like the windows and the doors from where they get any cold drafts or anything, because they don't like that freezing cold winds and cold air coming in and cold temperatures. Just keep them in a warm spot. Okay, next we'll talk about the pruning. So the plant will do great if you prune them at the start of the spring season. Remove the ends, the dead ends of the shoot to enhance new growth and the health of the plant. Otherwise the plant will start growing spindly. As you can see in this one here, you can see the spindle forming on top. So if there are too many spindles on top of your plant, it gives them a ugly and unattractive appearance, which doesn't look good. So just keep on pruning them. If you see more of the spindles coming up, just chop that spindle off from here and you will see more growth, new leaves and new shoots coming out from there. So yeah, pruning will really help to maintain the growth and the look of your plant. But they are slow growers, so just keep in mind that you don't prune them a lot, and you can just remove any damaged or dead leaves while you're pruning it. Regarding toxicity, these plants are not toxic to children and pets, but still you might need to keep this plant away from your children and pets. And why? Because of this beautiful attractive foliage of this plant, and this plant is not very cheap, it's expensive. So you don't want to keep them near to your children so they keep on fiddling around with the beautiful leaves and the stem and all your pot. just keep them away, so you can maintain the beauty of this plant and not the children keep picking on the leaves and the plant. So, but otherwise they are non-toxic. You can keep them in your house without a second thought. Okay, now regarding the pest infestation, so these plants, peperomias, they are usually resistant to pests and diseases. If you see that your plant is losing a lot of leaves, that could be because of overwatering or the temperature drop or over fertilizing. So you just might need to keep those three things in your mind. And if you see that your plant is losing a lot of lower leaves, then just cut back on the watering, or stop fertilizing your plant, or provide a nice warm place to keep your plant, and just let your plant recover, and then see how it goes. And also you might even though these plants are pest resistant, but still you might need to keep an eye on your plant just to make sure that there are no pests or worms or anything nibbling onto your leaves and your plant. So just keep looking at your plant. Sometimes you might see some flies, some fungus gnats in your plant. If they're just one or two, that's fine. But if you see a lot of flies when you shake your pot like this and you see a lot of flies coming out, then you might need to spray something like a neem oil solution or soap solution on the leaves and the soil of the plant. Or you can also use diatomaceous earth. Just sprinkle a little bit of diatomaceous earth around the soil, around the pot over here, and that will help get rid of all those flies and fungus gnats and any of the worms or anything that's coming out or your plant is infested with. So this was about the pests and diseases, and now we'll talk about the propagation. So I have made a video before on the propagation of Peperomia caperata rosso. If you have not seen that video on propagation, please don't forget to check that video out, because all the peperomias, they usually propagate the same way. You can propagate them through the stem cutting, you can propagate them from their leaf cutting. So all of them do the same way. So I have done that video. Just check out that video. I'll leave the link in the description box, so just check the description box before you leave. And I have some updates from that propagation that I did, and I would like to show you in this video. So what I did was I took some cuttings of the leaf cuttings of the Peperomia mendoza and in my previous video, and I did the water propagation. As I tell you in all my videos, that I prefer going with the water propagation than the soil propagation, because in water propagation you can actually see what's happening, the roots developing, the plants developing, and when the roots develop you can put them in the soil and you know that okay, now your cutting has got roots in it, so it will not die. But whereas if you go straight away with the soil propagation, sometimes your cuttings get rotted or something happens, so sometimes it's not successful. But with water propagation I have always been successful, so I always go with the water propagation. If you want to go with the soil propagation, please go for it. Okay, so here are the cuttings that I took. This one is the Peperomia obtusifolia baby rubber plant cutting. This was just a leaf that fall over and I from my plant, and I just placed it in with these two Peperomia mendoza cuttings, and you can see it has got a lot of roots developed, so it's time for it to go into the soil. And this one is the half cutting that I made in my previous video. Just check out my previous video. just to see what happens. And you can see lots of roots and new leaves from the back side as well. So I hope you can see the new leaves here. And these leaves started coming, I can say, in just 2 to 3 weeks time. So here also, look, so many leaves are there, the little Peperomia mendoza leaves, and the roots are there, and it's all ready to go into the soil. So this was the propagation, and the propagation that I did last time. That's the update. So this cutting, that half cutting that you can see, is this one. So in my previous video, I just took this leaf cutting and I placed this tip, the root tip, the stem tip, into the water, and it gave out a lot of roots, and then I sticked it into the soil, and you can see a tiny little leaf that came out, and here as well. So the second half, this one belongs to this one, this leaf. So the stem of this leaf also had the roots on it, and I placed it in the soil, and as you can see, they have given out so many new leaves, so many new stems have come up. Look. So I took the leaf cutting like this. Make sure whenever you are taking the cutting, the leaves are nice, big and mature. If the leaves are small, then they are not going to do very well in the propagation. But if they're nice, big and mature, then they will work really well. They'll give out roots and the new baby leaves like this. So this is an update from my previous propagation. Isn't that beautiful? Look at the shape, heart shape. So this was the Peperomia mendoza, these cuttings as well. This one is Peperomia obtusifolia, and this one is Peperomia Albovittata Piccolo Banda. So all these usually work in the same way. When these leaves will grow bigger, you can do the same with these leaves. So you can take the leaf cutting from the base. So always take the cutting from the base of the plant, from the very base of the plant. Make sure that the stem is nice and thick to be able to give out roots. And or if the leaf is nice and big, cut your leaf into half and put that half into the water or soil, wherever you want to place them, and that's it. You'll have your own new plant ready. Like that. So friends, this was all about the propagation of this plant. This was all about the care of this plant. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you have any questions or any comments, please leave them in the comment section. If you are new to our channel, please don't forget to subscribe and like the video if you really liked it. And I will get back to you with another exciting video. Until then, stay safe, keep gardening, and see you next time. Bye-bye.